Welcome back to SafeSimpleSound. In today's episode, we are exploring the Oyster method for building wealth, a powerful framework that turns financial pressures into lasting value. Picture transforming a grain of sand into a beautiful pearl. That's the essence of the Oyster method. We will dive into four key elements: protection, preparation, persistence, and patience, and show how they align with the secured beliefs to create a lasting legacy. Plus, we will touch on the idea of the ideal financial instrument and how it ties everything together. To make this discussion even more engaging, I am using AI voices to bring these ideas to life. I am thrilled to share this transformative concept with you. Let's get started.
Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we're looking at something called the Oyster method
Okay.
for building wealth. Have you heard of this?
I have, yeah. It's an interesting way to look at how we can take like financial pressures, things that cause us stress financially, and turn them into assets, turn them into something valuable.
So it's kind of like turning a grain of sand into a pearl.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great analogy. It really highlights that potential for transformation.
I like that. So we've got a few sources here to guide us.
Okay.
We have breakdown of the Oyster method itself, obviously,
Right.
but also some background on the secured beliefs
Right.
from SafeSimpleSound,
Yeah.
and even some info on this thing called the ideal financial instrument.
Yeah. The ideal financial instrument. It's a fascinating concept.
So it sounds like we've got a pretty full plate here.
We do. But the exciting thing is how all these pieces connect. Like the Oyster method provides the framework, right?
Okay.
The secured beliefs act as guiding principles. And then the ideal financial instrument that could be like a tool to help you actually put it all into practice.
All right, I'm definitely intrigued. Let's break this down, starting with the Oyster method itself.
Okay, sure.
What are the key elements? What makes this whole thing tick?
So the method is built around four key elements: protection, preparation, persistence, and patience.
Okay, 4 pillars.
I like that. Yeah, you can think of them as the four pillars of your financial pearl building process.
All right, so starting with protection, it sounds like it's all about creating a safe and stable environment for your money to grow.
Yeah, exactly. It's about minimizing risk, things like having a solid emergency fund or making sure you have enough insurance coverage.
So it's about that solid foundation for your financial house, making sure you're protected from those unexpected storms.
Exactly.
Then what about preparation? What does that involve?
Preparation is all about getting organized, getting your ducks in a row, so to speak,
Okay.
setting clear financial goals, knowing your income and expenses, creating a budget that aligns with your goals.
So it's like having that roadmap, knowing where you want to go and how to get there.
Yes, precisely.
Okay, so protection and preparation, those make a lot of sense. But persistence and patience, those sound a bit more challenging.
They can be. They require discipline, but they're also the elements that really unlock the power of compounding.
Right, because compounding takes time.
Exactly. Persistence is about consistent action saving regularly, investing wisely, managing debt effectively. It's about consistently adding those layers of, financial nacre to your pearl.
Okay, and patience.
Yeah.
That's about, well, being patient, letting that compounding work its magic over time.
Yes. It's about understanding that building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long-term game.
Right, slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these 4 elements: protection, preparation, persistence, and patience, all working together
Right.
to help us turn those financial pressures, those irritants, into something valuable. I'm really starting to see how this oyster analogy works.
It's powerful, isn't it? And what's really interesting is how these elements of the Oyster method connect to those secured beliefs you mentioned.
Right, those principles from SafeSimpleSound. I'm curious how those fit in here.
Well, let's take a look. The first secured belief is seize financial control.
Okay.
This aligns perfectly with the protection element of the Oyster method.
So it's about being proactive, not reactive, with your finances.
Yes. Taking ownership, making conscious choices, not letting your circumstances dictate your financial well-being.
I like that. What about the next one? Embrace mastery of cash flow.
That one connects directly to preparation.
Okay.
It's about understanding where your money is going, tracking your income and expenses, and then making informed decisions about how you use your resources.
So it's like knowing the lay of the land before you start building anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have create a financial safety net. That one's pretty self-explanatory, right?
It is. And it seems to go hand in hand with that protection element.
Exactly. It's about having that cushion to fall back on in case of unexpected events like job loss or medical emergencies.
Okay, so that's 3 of the secured beliefs, all connecting really well to those first 2 elements of the Oyster method.
Right.
What about understanding financial choices? Where does
Yeah.
that fit in?
That's a big one, and it actually connects to several elements of the Oyster method.
Oh, okay.
It's about doing your research, understanding different financial tools and strategies,
Hmm.
and then, making choices that align with your goals and your risk tolerance.
So it's about being an informed consumer when it comes to your finances, not just blindly following someone else's advice.
Exactly.
Okay, what about reap the benefits of compound growth? That sounds like persistence and patience rolled into one.
It is. It highlights the incredible power of compounding, how those consistent long-term investments
Right.
can really lead to exponential growth over time.
That snowball effect, right?
Yeah. Your money starts earning money, and then those earnings start earning money, and so on.
Powerful stuff. So we've covered 5 of the secured beliefs, and they're all tying in beautifully with the Oyster method.
Right.
What about the last 2? Embrace financial flexibility and develop wealth and a lasting legacy.
Those are important too. Embrace financial flexibility speaks to the idea that life is unpredictable and your financial plan needs to be adaptable.
So being able to adjust to changing circumstances.
Yes. Having that ability to pivot without derailing your progress towards your goals.
Hmm. And the final one, develop wealth and a lasting legacy. That sounds pretty powerful.
It is. It's about recognizing that building wealth isn't just about personal gain. It's about creating something that can benefit others, like your family, your community, future generations.
So using your wealth to make a positive impact on the world.
Exactly. Leaving a legacy that extends beyond your own lifetime.
I love that. It's like taking that pearl you've created and turning it into something even more meaningful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful concept.
This is all really fascinating stuff, and I'm seeing how these concepts all connect. The Oyster method, those secured beliefs, this idea of a lasting legacy. It's a pretty inspiring framework.
It is. And it sets the stage for exploring another really interesting concept, the ideal financial instrument.
Okay, that's the one that's been piquing my curiosity.
Yeah.
What is this ideal financial instrument? How does it fit into all of this?
Well, it's an idea, really, a concept that describes a financial tool with a very specific set of features, features that align with the Oyster method and those secured beliefs.
Oh, so it's like the ultimate pearl growing environment.
In a way, yes. The source material lists several key features of this ideal instrument, and it's quite a list. Liquidity, safety, guaranteed principal, even guaranteed growth.
Wait, guaranteed growth? That sounds almost too good to be true, especially in today's world.
I know, right? It does sound amazing. But certain financial tools, like some types of whole life insurance, can offer components of guaranteed growth, provides a level of predictability that can be appealing to long-term investors.
Interesting. So this ideal financial instrument, it's not a specific product. It's more like a set of characteristics to look for when choosing financial tools.
Exactly. It's about finding those tools that offer the most potential for both protection and growth, aligned with the Oyster method.
Got it. So before we dive into the specifics of this ideal financial instrument, let's take a step back and revisit that story of Sarah that you mentioned earlier.
Yes. Sarah's story is a great example of how the Oyster method can work in real life. Remember, she started with that $50,000 student loan.
A pretty significant financial irritant, to use the analogy.
It was. But instead of letting that debt control her, she used it as fuel, as motivation to change.
So she embraced that seize financial control principle right from the start.
She did. She realized she needed to be in charge of her finances, not the other way around. So she started with a budget, tracking her spending, seeing where her money was going.
Okay, that's a great first step. But what about that financial safety net we talked about? Did she prioritize that as well?
Absolutely. She knew that unexpected expenses could pop up anytime. So she made building an emergency fund a priority.
That's smart. It's like having that buffer zone to protect you from falling back into debt if something unexpected happens.
Exactly. And she was really consistent with it. Started small, but over time, that emergency fund grew,
Right.
gave her a sense of security.
So she was taking control, tracking her spending, building her safety net. All great examples of that protection element in action. But what about preparation?
Okay, so she started by setting clear financial goals. She knew she wanted to be debt-free,
Okay.
build a strong investment portfolio, and eventually achieve financial independence.
Those are some big goals.
They are, but having them written down, visualized, really gave her a sense of direction.
So it's like having that roadmap we talked about earlier.
Yes, exactly. But setting goals wasn't enough. She needed a plan to achieve them.
Right.
And that's where research came in. She really wanted to understand financial choices.
I like that. So she was reading books, talking to advisors, learning as much as she could about different options?
She was. Sarah understood that knowledge is power when it comes to finances.
Absolutely. So she had her protected chamber, her plan in place. But then comes the hard part, right? Persistence and patience. How did she stay on track over time?
Well, once she had her plan, she committed to taking action, set up automatic contributions to her savings and investments.
So she was automating her savings, taking the temptation to spend that money out of the equation.
Exactly. And she was also aggressive about tackling her student loan debt, making extra payments whenever she could.
So she was putting in the work, showing that persistence. But what about the patience part? How did she stay motivated when the results were immediate?
Well, she kept her eye on the prize, those long-term goals. She understood that building wealth takes time. She celebrated those small victories along the way to stay motivated.
So acknowledging her progress, even those little wins, to stay positive.
Yes. And she also focused on that power of compounding, knowing that consistent effort would pay off in the long run.
It's that snowball effect we talked about. Slow and steady, but eventually unstoppable.
Exactly. And over time, Sarah started to see those results. Her debt went down, her investments grew, her confidence soared.
Wow, her story is really inspiring. It shows that even with a significant financial burden, it's possible to turn things around with the right approach.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the power of the Oyster method in action. Those 4 elements, protection, preparation, persistence, and patience, working together to transform her financial future.
So Sarah's journey is a great example of how the Oyster method and those secured beliefs can work together to create lasting financial well-being.
Right.
But how does this ideal financial instrument fit into all of this? Where do those specific features we talked about come into play?
That's a great question, and it's where things get even more interesting. You see, Sarah discovered that certain financial tools could actually enhance and accelerate her progress towards her goals.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about how these tools align with the Oyster method and those secured beliefs.
Well, it all comes down to those specific features we mentioned, things like liquidity, safety, guaranteed growth, and even tax advantages.
Right, that wish list of features.
Yeah.
But how do those actually translate into real-world benefits for someone like Sarah? How did they help her achieve her goals more effectively?
Well, that's what we're going to explore next. As she learned more about the features of that ideal financial instrument, she started to see how those features could support her goals and, really align with those secured beliefs we talked about. Like, for instance, she was really drawn to the idea of liquidity, being able to get to her money when she needed it without any penalties.
That makes a lot of sense.
Do.
Life is unpredictable.
It is.
And sometimes you need access to your funds without getting hit with a bunch of fees.
Exactly. And remember that embrace financial flexibility belief. Having that liquidity really aligns with that idea.
It's like having that financial safety net built right into your investment strategy.
Exactly. So liquidity was a big one, but safety was really important to her too. Sarah, like a lot of people, was a little wary of the ups and downs of the market.
Yeah, that volatility can be scary.
It can be. She wanted to make sure her principal, that initial investment, was protected, no matter what was happening out there.
So that's where the concept of guaranteed principal comes in.
Exactly. Some financial instruments, like certain types of whole life insurance, offer that guarantee that your initial investment is safe from market downturns.
So it's like having a portion of your portfolio that's kind of shielded from those market storms and provides that extra peace of mind.
Exactly. And it goes right along with that create a financial safety net belief.
It does. It's about having that solid foundation you can always count on.
Exactly. So we've got liquidity and safety. Those are important for sure. But what about that guaranteed growth idea?
Right. Was Sarah interested in that feature as well?
She was. We talked about how powerful compound growth can be.
Yes.
And some financial instruments, like certain types of whole life insurance, can actually offer guaranteed growth components. So your money is growing at a predictable rate even when the market's going crazy.
Wow, that sounds almost impossible these days.
I know, right? It does sound amazing.
A guaranteed return when everything feels so unpredictable. How does that even work?
Well, Those guaranteed growth components are usually just one part of a larger, more complex financial strategy.
Okay.
And, the specifics can be different depending on the instrument and the terms and all of that.
Got it. So it's not a free lunch or anything like that?
No, but it's definitely a feature worth looking into, especially for someone like Sarah who wanted that predictable long-term growth.
Right. Right.
And again, it fits perfectly with that reap the benefits of compound growth belief.
It does. It's about using the power of time and consistent growth to build wealth steadily.
Exactly. So it sounds like Sarah was really interested in those key features, liquidity, safety, and guaranteed growth, because they matched up so well with her goals and those secured beliefs.
They did, and she was really drawn to that alignment. So tell me, did she actually incorporate these types of tools into her financial plan?
She did. And it's pretty amazing how these tools not only made her feel more financially secure, but they actually helped her get closer to her long-term goals faster, too.
Including that big goal of building a lasting legacy.
Yes. Remember how that develop wealth and a lasting legacy belief is all about making an impact that goes beyond our own lives?
Yeah, using your resources to make a difference for others.
Right. And certain financial instruments, again, things like some types of whole life insurance can be a big part of legacy planning.
Okay.
They have things like probate avoidance and tax-free inheritance, which lets you pass on your wealth to your family without a lot of hassle or taxes.
So it's about making sure your hard-earned money goes where you want it to go.
Right.
And minimizing any complications.
Exactly. It's a great example of how the Oyster method, those secured beliefs, and these financial tools can all work together for a really well-rounded approach to finances,
Yeah.
not just for ourselves, but for those who come after us too.
I like that. It's like taking that pearl you've been working so hard to cultivate
Right.
and making it into something even more beautiful and long-lasting.
I love that.
Sarah's story is really inspiring, and it shows how these ideas can actually work in real life. But for our listeners out there, what's the main takeaway? Where do they even start?
Well, first, it's important to remember that financial well-being is a journey.
Okay.
It's about taking those first steps, no matter how small, and just building that momentum over time.
So embrace those 4 elements of the Oyster method: protection, preparation, persistence, and patience, and let them be your guide.
Exactly. And don't forget those secured beliefs. Those are powerful principles to help you make smart choices and stay focused on your long-term goals.
Right. They're a great foundation.
They are. And for anyone out there who's curious about exploring tools like that ideal financial instrument we talked about, I highly recommend connecting with the experts at SafeSimpleSound.
Okay.
They can provide really personalized guidance and help you navigate all the details of financial planning,
Right.
so you can design a strategy that really fits your needs and your goals.
Sounds like they'd be great partners on this journey.
They would be. They really understand that financial planning is personal,
Mm.
and they're dedicated to supporting their clients every step of the way.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the Oyster method.
Yeah.
I hope everyone listening has found this as interesting and helpful as I have.
Me too.
Remember, financial well-being is within your reach. Just start taking those steps, no matter how small, and don't hesitate to reach out for support when you need it.
And one last thought. I love this quote from Kokichi Mikimoto, that Japanese pearl farmer.
Okay.
He said, "The patient perfection of protection produces priceless pearls."
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? Embrace that idea, and you can create your own legacy of financial well-being that will last a lifetime and beyond.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And if you're ready to start your own journey toward that protected prosperity,
Yes.
reach out to SafeSimpleSound. They're ready to help you turn those financial pressures into those pearls of lasting value.
Thanks for joining our deep dive today into the Oyster method. I hope you are inspired by how small, consistent actions can turn your financial challenges into meaningful wealth and legacy. Remember, start with those 4 elements: protection, preparation, persistence, and patience, and let them guide you towards financial freedom. If you are ready to explore tools like the ideal financial instrument or take the next step in your journey, don't hesitate to reach out to SafeSimpleSound. Together, we can turn your financial pressures into pearls of lasting value. Until next time, keep building that legacy with confidence.